Hey guys, Video Fletcher, and I feel like I've transported back 3 years. We are back to doing the news. This is probably like episode 40 of the news. It's really strange coming back to do some Gears news, but I was sent this by a viewer. He dropped a comment and said I wanted to give my thoughts on it, so I thought I would do. I will tell a lie. Normally I do these without looking. I have looked at them a little bit to make the video a little bit more concise. So this is sort of the developer blog of how they think Gears of War will go. The first interesting topic is there's going to be two types of balancing: core and competitive. One for the everyday player and one for the competitive player. Competitive takes into account high level of coordination and skill that comes with the competitive play, and the weapons will be toned down or they will reduce certain factors like aim assist to highlight the best from the rest. Now, this sounds great, right? However, as it stands, escalation and execution are the only two modes in competitive due to their emphasis of team-based play at the high level. Okay? Which is okay. Not all game modes are competitive. Personally, I don't think Team Deathmatch is competitive. However, they do claim that this is the first time there will be different balancing in Gears of War, and that only certain game modes work with certain balance. Now, for those that actually played the game, you had Zeta and regular Gears of War, and you quite often had a competitive playlist in Gears of War 3. And how did that work out? Many people liked it, but it wasn't populated enough, so they just played the one that was the most populated. And it was split. The community split on what was best. This is definitely not the first time that there's been different balance in Gears of War. Maybe in playlists as a permanent thing, but there have definitely been splits before with the Zeta. Now, the first problem I have to say about this is that on paper it sounds great. Those that like the casual balance get the casual balance, and those that want to play hardcore competitive, they get their balance. However, what actually happens is nobody gets what they want. The people that want to practice competitive are stuck with a diluted population to play against, because some people are playing core, some people are playing competitive. Games have gotten a lot bigger since the last time I did a video like this. Esports, watching games is a massive thing now. Not like it was back in the day with like a Halo MLG or even a StarCraft MLG Open. Even at the peak of their power, it was nothing like a Dota, a CSGO, or a League of Legends tournament. One of the key things about what makes their game so popular to watch is all the people that watch are watching the game that they play, right? It would be the equivalent of me going to watch a tennis tournament, and when I play tennis, I use a really big racket. Okay, I use a really big racket when I watch, and that's all I've ever used is that really big racket. And then when I watch the tournaments, I go, they're using completely different rackets to me. Their court is laid out completely different. This isn't what I play. I'm not interested in watching something that I don't play. If you play only core, you will not be interested in watching competitive as much. Maybe some will, but there won't be as big a transition over of sort of potential viewers converted into actual viewers. There will be a lot less turnover because people exactly will be going, I like to play this mode, these people aren't playing this mode, I'm not really interested in it. I don't like splitting the community that's already split even further down to have different modes. So we've talked about the fact that it messes up the spectating, it messes up the player base, but also I think it messes up one of the key things: fun. A game is fun, right? That is the number one basis of your game. If your game is not fun, it won't grow, right? So if I really enjoy competitive, I really enjoy the balance of competitive, or I really enjoy the balance of core, I can't actually play the game modes that I want. As it stands today, escalation and execution are the two modes in competitive, which means if I want to play some other mode, I will have to play a different balance, which for one makes bad practice. It just makes it a weird transition, and it's not fun for the user. I don't like that. So I don't think this is a good move. On paper it sounds good, but in practice, I don't know about you guys, but I really think this is a poor decision. Be interesting to see what you guys think. It says, why did they make this decision? So let's have a listen. It really started out with our escalation reveal, blah blah blah. We took 10 pro players, asked what they need for Gears of War to shine. We tuned the weapons late into the night and provided some insight. So they took some pros in, they asked what they wanted, and they changed the game. Rather than trying to please everyone and end up pleasing no one, we decided we would split the sets, which, exactly as I've said, sounds brilliant, to split it into two so one person can play their mode, another person can get their mode without being affected. Sounds great, but for me, on paper, it just muddles everything up. People can't play the game mode they want on the setting they want. And yeah, it also, they say it provides a clear step of progression for people looking to take their skills to the next level. But for me, this is where it falls down. And I don't know what you think, but when I play a new game, and I'm not very good at it, I really don't care about competitive. So if I don't care about competitive, and I don't really care about improving, and my only interest is having fun, then why would I need to do a different balance, right? I don't know if I'm putting my view across correctly, but I think this is really a small thing that's a big thing. If I play League of Legends and I am completely brand new to the game, or let's do a console version, if I'm completely brand new to COD and I don't understand anything about the game, I'm not really getting frustrated at X weapon is doing X amount of damage, and I want to play game mode where that weapon does less damage. So for Gears of War, if you're brand new to Gears of War, I don't believe you go into the game loading up on day one. You put it in your console and you load it up in day one. I don't believe you go, wow, that shotgun just downed me from that distance and that Lancer did that amount of damage. I don't want to play this mode. I want to play core. I want to play a different game mode. I don't believe that happens. I would be shocked if that actually happens. What I believe happens is when you play a new game, you go, damn, he got me down, he shot me there, I'm going to try again. And you're playing away, and boom, the shotgun downs you from 20 foot. As a new player that has no idea of competitive and no idea how the game works, I would just go, oh right, the shotgun downs me from 20 foot away. That's just how the game works, and I'd play around that. I wouldn't go, the shotgun should be a short range close quarter combat gun, and I'm going to switch game mode because of this, and I'm going to dip into the more advanced or the lower level bracket and change the type of balance that I want. I don't believe people do that. When you're bad at League of Legends, you're bad. You don't play a different balancing setup. You just play the same game, have a laugh, and then when you eventually get better, you get used to the game. I think they're just glossing over this, and I think this is a massive point, that players that are new to the game, the type of people that will want to go into core, if they do, won't sort of have the actual understanding to know the difference. If you're brand new to a game and want to play core, why not just play competitive and play it to the best of your skill level and have fun? If you're brand new to the game, I don't know about balance. Like if I go and play Dota, which I don't play often, I don't think this hero's overpowered, it should do 250 damage on his ult, not 150, or it should do 500 instead of 1000. I don't do that. I just play the game and try to have fun on the settings the game has provided. I don't dilute the player base by going onto an easier mode. So I don't think that's a good idea. So hoping for something positive to say, but so far I think that's quite poor. It sounds good on paper, but from previous examples of Zeta playlist and regular, all that happens is some people like one game mode, some people like the other, and it all gets diluted. For me, the better way to incentivize competitive would be to have, okay, you can dilute it, but not the game. The game must remain the same balance, because if you're playing it and watching it, You all want to watch and play the same thing and go, damn, that's how, like, say you're a new player and you're getting rocked on competitive settings, you're constantly getting bodied, and then you watch a pro player, you're like, right, that's how he actually navigates around the real strong shotguns. He calls for his friend to get across, he backs off, he uses smokes and nades to zone. That's how he does it. That he doesn't go to a different he doesn't go to a different skill balance. That's not how he does it. If everyone's watching the same game and playing the same game, they learn how to defeat these things they're having trouble with by simply creating a breakaway point. You're basically admitting that this game mode will be dead once you improve. It's such an odd thing to do. I personally, as I said, I think I did a video in 2013. I said, rather than incentivize competitive through having different balance, why not make people want to play competitive through having a solid ranking system with MMR, so you match against the best players and you have good even matches. If you're having good close competitive matches, you will want to play in that game mode, I guarantee it. So you want a proper MMR system. You also want sort of a customized user experience. In League of Legends, if you play ranked, you can ban out 6 heroes and that changes the way the game is played. Similarly, in other games, you will have certain maps are only in competitive. So if there's one map that's a bit noob friendly, like say there's a StarCraft, and it's a bit easier, it's a bit wide open, you don't get punished for your mistakes by like a tank drop, that map might not be in competitive, and it might only be in casual. So when you go into competitive, you can go, right, I'm crossing out that map, I'm vetoing it, and I'm customizing the experience. So the reason I play competitive is because you get to customize the experience, not the fact that it's got different balancing. I would incentivize it through proper ranking, through user customization, not so much balance. So it says, what did you learn about the competitive active reload system? Basically the ability, I didn't play this, but to reload every time, so I think you just got reloads. Effectively what they're saying is that people were pre-activating too often. It says the initial response is it was mixed response, but over time positive feedback emerged. We did hear fans' concerns about pre-activating happening too often and how power weapons became more lethal with the ability to instantly active on pickup, which is daft. That shouldn't. Your reward for picking up the weapon is the reward of getting that weapon. You should not also have another reward of a damage boost on top. So it says, we've improved the system to showcase its original design, to introduce timings. We want actives to be something you choose to do and always weigh up the risk versus reward. In the core tuning, actives had a very small boost of lethality, which also is much less than the boost from actives in previous Gears games, as well as a slight increase in the cooldown times. It's an added edge, not a fight winner. In competitive, the boost is a lot higher, but the base damage is lower. The cooldowns are much longer, increasing the risk of reward. Again, yeah, this sounds great on paper, but it's just very, very confusing for players. This isn't League of Legends with 800 million different combinations of possible spells. In League of Legends you have 5 champions each with 5 different spells and a passive, and all different item actives. There's basically unlimited possibilities that can happen in a fight. You don't need to try and overcomplicate Gears of War. Just give the active, decide what's best, and give the active reload what you believe is best. For me, the active reload shouldn't even give you a damage boost. To me, this is the reward, okay? You don't need damage boosts. Use player aiming ability. Okay, so you shoot your weapon, you pick it up. If you pick up a power weapon, your reward isn't the ability to instant reload and get an active. Your reward is gaining the map control of the area that the power weapon is in, because if you've picked it up, you've, I suppose, gained control of that area, unless you're rushing it. So you shouldn't be able to activate. And if you are going into a fight and you've had a few shots, just reloading shouldn't give you an advantage, because that will always, if you get an advantage from doing an active reload, people will always pre-fire, I guarantee it, which just looks silly, and it's just not very good stylistically from a game, I don't think. I personally would just say, listen, if you choose to active reload, you can get a much quicker reload, maybe increase the speed of the reload a little bit more so you get a much quicker reload speed, or you run the risk of jamming it, and the jamming is a lot longer if you jam your gun. And that should be it. The Nasher is always a big talking point in the community. What did you modify following the beta? It says Gears is balanced around the Nasher, and we feel like the Gears 4 version gets a lot of its consistency from the current damage tuning. We heard fans about the power it deals over distance and how that impacts moving into a fight. So for core, we've toned down the range slightly to keep it within its expected damage at distance. For competitive tuning, it's a very different story. We brought the effective range in much further to allow the classic Nash's dance to breathe more. We brought the effective range into much further. Much closer or much further away? We brought the effective range in much further. So I imagine that means closer. So I guess there's more shotgun dancing, which sounds good. But again, just stop with the different balancing. It's really bad idea. I can't stress how stupid of an idea that is. What other key weapon changes have you made since beta? The Hammerburst has been changed to a 3-shot burst weapon down from 6, and can now beat a Lancer at long range, but requires more patient aiming. That sounds fine. The drop shot explosion radius has been toned down to require more accuracy, and we've added team colours to the target in laser to identify a friendly drill from an enemy drill, so a little bit of, simply identifying it. That sounds fair enough. Based on feedback, colorblind option, that's fine. There has also been some changes to our grenades. You can only now have one active frag grenade tagged to a wall, and the explosion has an increased delay. That's fair. I don't know what this should be, but for me, I said this back in 2013. It was even in my last video. When somebody is running past a grenade, you should be able to run by it. That means that effectively, if you want to, as a team, be aggressive, you can run past grenades and not think we're going to get blown up. Because the second, trust me, if this is the way it is, I don't think it is, but the second a tagged grenade on a wall can kill a guy that is roadie running past it, that is the moment the game will slow down, and the moment competitive will have everybody checking corners, which is just not what you want. We've also changed the way to treat smoke. Smoke grenades now emit smaller volumes of smoke for a short period of time. They're still thick to help you push through a position in combination with the stun, but teams wanting to make a big push need to throw multiple smokes. I don't like the smoke stun. I think it's stupid, but if it's in there, at least they're making it a little bit less brutal. Movement. So again, this is where it's getting really confusing, because now it's like, this is the guy who leads the core gameplay. So one of the clear pieces of feedback gleaned from the beta was a desire to move the much more responsive options around cover. And while that was always part of our development plan, they worked hard on that one. One of our most important changes is having to reduce the fire when popping up from cover to give you that snappy feel. That sounds great. We also fixed a couple of key moves. Back A, where you pull off the cover to fire a shot, now works on left-handed corner, that's fine. We also fixed the up A shot, which is not working as intended in the beta and was slipping out of cover. Shooting would result in the shot hitting the cover. Yeah, that's good. That's good to fix. This is fine. Some of the fans were feeling a little bit motion sick. They've changed that a little bit, so when you're playing on bigger screens, you shouldn't get motion sick. That's fair. And visual improvements, which to me mean nothing because it's a console game. And sorry, but I'm elitist, but it'll look trash probably. So yeah. Higher resolution shadows, localized reflections, ambient occlusion, all that good stuff. I'd rather have 60 FPS at every second rather than trying to slap on some ambient occlusion and high-res shadows and whatever volumetric lighting or whatever they're trying to do and lowering my FPS. I'd rather just have good FPS. It's come a long way, Colin. So, unique architecture that makes it feel like Gears, more colour and contrast, better detail, ground, ensured the ground players run and fight is interesting, yeah, because you look at a lot of the floor at Gears of War, to be honest. And that sounds fine. Map design, this one's so this is okay, brace yourself. This is one of the reasons I stopped playing with Gears, because they can't even decide what their own game is. How can you make competitive esports if you don't know what your own game is? So we've got core balance, competitive balance, people that probably won't like either of those, so that's 3 people that'll be unhappy. And we've got now, one of the things we heard from the community was there was too much emphasis on close quarter combat. What we found is this resulted in less of the traditional Gears front. We really want them to be a balance of rifle and Nesher combat in Gears 4, so there's definitely an intention to ensure support play and crossing are a key part of the game. Now, to me, without being disrespectful, this sounds idiotic. What community? I haven't been involved in the community for 3 years, right? Maybe some of you can tell me, what part of the community don't like close quarters fighting in Gears of War? If you didn't want close quarters fighting and you wanted big vast areas of rifling, why aren't you queuing up to get the Battlefield 1 alpha or something, you know? I have no problem with the rifle and crossing. I played competitive against people like Fitzer, who would cross the living shit out of you with like Jordan and Shlew, and you'd have Dark Angel and Passion, that Italian clan. I'd get crossed every day of my life. It doesn't bother me. Lancering is a part of the game. That's fine. However, how can you say there's too much emphasis on close quarters? That is Gears of War. Here's what it is. This is what is so brilliant about Gears of War. When you play and you feel this pressure. You feel this pressure of, you enter the battle and you're a big distance away from the enemy team. And this is what happens. The distance, it closes in. Gridlock. You spawn. Your distance is closing in. You get to the top of you get to the top of those stairs. Is someone going to push in? Are you going to push in to match their push and have a shotgun fight? Are they going to push in? You're going to give up that ground and you're going to roll out and you're going to retreat way back to the hammerburst location or a grenade location? Or are you going to go for the boom shot and create some distance and then with the boom shot close that distance and kill them? It's this when you playing at a high level of Gears of War. Maybe many people haven't played at a high level, but with the whole time you're playing, you're desperately trying to get to close quarters because you can outplay at close quarter combat. When you're getting crossed by 3 people, there ain't shit you can do. Your whole game plan is get away from the rifles, use this pillar to cover my back, and I'm going in for the one. I'm pushing my one and I'm going to kill this guy. I'm going to take him off the map and I'm going to make it a 4v3, a 4v2. I don't know what Gears players, what community they're on about that don't like close quarters combat. Have they done another disastrous thing and listened to fucking Tayo Devil from the Epic Games forum, and he's there? Hello guys, I'm really struggling with the Nasher pushers. I'd like more emphasis on my rifle play. What is going on? Everybody like myself who's a competitive player knows rifles exist. I probably land some more than you do. However, to say there is too much emphasis on QCB combat or QCB is just ridiculous. Who are they listening to? Interesting. So how did you take these learnings and apply them? Looking at 3 beta maps, we found we blocked too much of your line of sight. We originally wanted to separate fights. However, we're going to open them up and increase support play. the importance on positions makes those gears fronts. We want people to earn their flanks, so that the solution to every front isn't just a quick flank that forces your opponent to move. So basically, do you know how I just talked about gridlock and the fights, how you use that piece to block your shoulder off, and you use that wall to block your shoulder off, and then you push you 1v1. That's where the spectator sport for gears is. You have this Lancer dance, everybody's Lancer and bullets spraying over your head, and you position yourself, you slam A, forward A, you're in the cover, you've got a few seconds of a block covering your shoulder. You can choose to sit there, regen up your health, maybe do a few call outs, look around, or you can use that time to get behind that block and push a 1v1, and then the MLG lights come on. We're on board fucking ZII. We're on board ZII. He's pushing his one. He's absolutely dominating everybody. He's cleaned house. The entire stadium lights up, and everyone's like, that is what we want. This guy just cleaned up. He chose to make the risky play of the 1v1 and he cleaned up. Now it sounds like what they're doing is they're just opening up the map, and you'll be fighting down there in a one-on-one, and some guy will just be above you going da-da-da-da-da-da. And you'll be getting Lancer down, which isn't fun to do. It's not fun to Lancer somebody down in the open. Very few people get enjoyment out of that. It's not very entertaining to practice as a team, and it's not very interesting to watch. If you're watching somebody having a one-on-one Lancer battle and some guy just shoots you down from the back, that's not very interesting to watch. They'd like to thank everybody in the beta. With new Hammerburst long range roll, we found the Retro Lancer didn't really have any significant start. We found the Retro Lancer didn't really have a significant place as a starting weapon. We've balanced it into a new role called secondary weapons. Secondary weapons spawn into minor locations. Oh, that's fine. Secondary weapons are more powerful and are not as dominant in case it operates similar. Unlike its Gear 3 counterpart, it's not designed to deal massive damage. Instead, it's about mid-range combat with a kick. If you have very good recoil control, you can even headshot an enemy if they've taken enough damage. Holy shit, guys, I've just confirmed that in Gears of War 4, if you're lit up red, you can get headshot by a Retro Lancer. Hello, what game is this? One of the things we hoped we demonstrated is we've laid the foundation. That's questionable with so many different balance setups and so many different modes relating to certain balancing, and claiming you don't like close quarters fighting. I don't know. There are too many changes and updates to list in one blog, but the audio UI settings have all received updates. See, this is where it's funny, okay? Where I come from PC, there are too many updates to list in one blog. I read Path of Exile patch notes that are like 18 pages long. If you're going to become an esport, you need to be updating. This is my closing point, okay? Those are my ideas on this, but as a closing point and moving forward, what I would like to see from blogs is actual numbers. Specifics. So I would like to see that a Lancer bullet does 0.8 damage per shot, and a player has 100 health, whatever, I'm making up numbers, and then in the next change you could see Lancer now does 0.9 damage per shot or 0.7. Rate of fire has been adjusted from 1.06 to 1.10. You know, I would like to see actual numbers. So that is me as a PC player. I would like to see some actual numbers rather than just saying we made it a bit stronger. What does that actually mean? I think we're all grown up enough to know that balancing the game is about numbers. We don't need to be told it's weaker or stronger. Just give us some numbers to go off, please. That was the very first piece of Gears of War content. It felt pretty good. If you want me to keep doing this sort of video, let me know. I'm more than happy to do this. I also have this article up. I haven't read this, but this basically says playing multiplayer earns you credits and you'll receive rewards. You get credits that you can unlock gear gear packs that include characters, skins, emblems and bounties. Seriously 4.0 you'll need to do the campaign on Insane, get re-up 10, get all the ribbons and earn a rank placement in each mode. So that is that for me. Hopefully you enjoyed that. I certainly did. It feels good to be back making some Gears content. Hopefully I'm not too negative. I've tried to be pretty open-minded there and not slate them, but hopefully I've labelled my concerns, and I think they're doing some alright things, and I think they're doing some very, very risky manoeuvres splitting the community. We'll have to see how that pans out, but give me a thumbs up if you like this type of video, like the old days, or a thumbs down if you just want me to go away. I'll catch you guys later.